what's going on? It's Saw Dudes. My name is Dean, and in the background you are watching some Call of Duty Black Ops 3. And before we get too far into this, I do want to mention that there actually is a reason why I chose this particular gameplay. There's a method to the madness, and I will get to that more towards the end of the video. But if you could, just watch the video and enjoy it to the best of your abilities, and see if you can kind of figure out what it was that I was going for. And we'll talk about that more towards the end of the video. Anyways, so the primary topic for this video though is the Xbox One Scorpio, and that's really what I want to talk about and get sort of my feedback on it out there and what I kind of think about it. And if you have no idea what the Xbox One Scorpio or Project Scorpio or whatever they call it is essentially it's the newest version of the Xbox One. It's not a new console necessarily so much as it is a new hardware upgrade to the Xbox One. All of the games that come out on Project Scorpio are going to be available for the Xbox One. At least that's my understanding of it. Essentially, it's just a hardware upgrade, kind of like the PlayStation 4 Pro was. So the biggest thing that this is pushing out is that it's going to be able to play 4K games. It's going to be able to play games at 4K, pushing a frame rate of 60 frames a second. And I gotta first of all say that's a very bold claim. And judging from the tech specs, and I won't pretend that I know a ton about this stuff, but I do kind of know PCs a little bit, and I understand this to an extent. Judging from what I've read from the tech specs, I do think it's possible, but it's a pretty bold claim because it is very dependent on the game itself and on the developers. It's very dependent on those. But let's talk about 4K gaming a little bit. Is it really something that needs to be happening right now? Because back in the day, there was a big push towards HD gaming. If you remember that when the Xbox 360 came out, that was the first time that we really got games in HD. And that's when people were kind of like, oh, I don't really know if it's time. I mean, it wasn't right when the 360 came out, and we got that kind of push. Now, I won't say that 4K or 1080p to 4K is the same thing as it was from standard definition to high definition. I think there's a little bit of a difference there. It's not quite as big of a step. But if you know anything about me, if you know anything about my personal life, I do editing for a living, and I work as a freelance editor. And what that means is I've done projects for, various multimedia things, commercials, weddings, events, things like that. And we do have a camera. When I say we, I mean my buddy who shoots the stuff and I edit it. He has a camera that shoots in 4K. And I've got to tell you right now, in terms of production for 4K, I've only had to do one project in 4K, and that video actually ended up being presented in 1080p anyway because we were pushing it to the web, so it didn't really matter. By the time we uploaded it to 4K, there just really wasn't a point. Now, 4K has definitely become more accessible on the camera side of things. If you guys want to hear about this a little bit, I don't know if you understand any of this or know about this stuff, but essentially you can get a 4K camera like an A7S or an A7S II or a GH4 or GH5, all those cameras. If you know anything about that, you can get something for around, $1,500 to $4,000. And yes, that is considered affordable in the camera world. So 4K itself has become more accessible in terms of creating content in videography. But is it really time for it in gaming? And I think it applies the same way. Like I said, I haven't had to edit anything in 4K yet. I've edited one video and it was presented in 1080p. There's definitely some advantages to 4K, but the actual upload, 4K is not really accessible in terms of viewing yet. And I think that applies to gaming as well. Because if you look at this machine is going to be pushing out 4K gaming 4K gaming, 60 frames a second at a very affordable cost of projected around like $400 to $600. And yeah, that's great and all. But what you're not factoring in is the $2,000 TV you're going to have to buy. Or if you really want to use this system for VR, you're not factoring in the $800 VR system you're potentially going to have to buy. So yeah, the console itself, definitely affordable, definitely going to work. But is 4K itself affordable in terms of viewing? I don't think we're quite there yet. I don't think we're quite at the medium where it's really something that people should be striving towards. And I don't know that it's really worth it for the Xbox One Scorpio. Now, I personally am not going to be picking one up. I didn't purchase a PlayStation 4 Pro, and the Xbox One Scorpio is a significant upgrade compared to even the PS4 Pro if you look at the specs. It's probably worth the upgrade if you already have a 4K TV and this is something you want to give a try. But I don't know that it's really something that, the system is ready for, that people are ready for is what I should say. I don't know if it's something that consumers are really ready to dive into. But it's intriguing. It's cool that we're going this kind of route and that we're making things more accessible. It's nice. I like that. But I don't know if it's the time to go yet. I do have a pretty nice PC. It's not the best PC in the world, but I can run most games pretty damn well at 1080p, 60 frames a second. So if I really wanted to upgrade something, I'd probably just upgrade my PC because I've been moving all of my single player games over to PC anyway. So let's talk about what I mentioned in the beginning of the video. I did mention that there was a method to the madness of why I used this particular video. And I'm curious, did you guys notice throughout the course of this video that this video is actually running at 30 frames a second? That's right, this is a 1080p 30 frames a second video. It's not 60 frames a second. If you did notice it, then yeah, maybe it might be okay to upgrade to the Scorpio because that might be something that bothers you. If you had no idea, if you didn't notice, then it might not be time to upgrade. Anyways, that's it for this video, guys. If you liked it, please be sure to give it a like and give me your feedback in the comments below. And if not, feel free to give it a dislike and let me know. Are you guys looking into Scorpio? Is this something you want to purchase? And yeah, I'll see you guys later. Peace.